All right. So, first, I want to thank Dale for building Business Blueprint and for giving me this opportunity. I actually consider it a real privilege and honour to be up here today, and I really feel the weight of responsibility actually because I've been sitting there for like 12 years, and I've probably been one of the more critical people of some of the speakers, and so I'm like, better make sure I'm not. But no, I've really put a lot into this, and I'm really happy to be sharing it with you. I just need that clicker, Dale. But I can do it this way for now. Or this way. Thank you. Good on you. All right. So, I'm actually from Campbelltown, the western suburbs of Sydney. I live in Brisbane now. Anyone a Westie around there? Any Westies in the house? Don't want to admit it? That's okay. I grew up in a very working class family, single mum, 4 kids, but there's a very proud tradition in my family of serving in the army. So my great-grandfather was in the Light Horse in World War I. My grandfather was in the 8th Battalion in World War II. He was in the bombing of Darwin, and he fought the Japanese in Bougainville and New Guinea. My dad's a Vietnam veteran, and then I went and joined the army. But I joined the army because I wanted to, not because of any family pressure or anything like that. And my son's actually about to join on the 20th of January as well. He's been accepted into the Defence Force Academy, so we're very proud of him. And again, I said to him, it's your life, dude. You don't have to do it, but it's a great option. It's a great opportunity. So, but in that, I went to the Royal Military College, Duntroon. I don't know if that's actually a picture of it up in the top there. Quite an honour and privilege to get in there. Very difficult to get into. About what I was told, anyway, is about 1 in 10 who inquire get invited to apply. 1 in 10 who apply go to a testing day, and 1 in 10 of them get past that to the selection board day, which is a day where you go with 10 people, and then 1 in 10 of those people get accepted. And 25% of my class failed. It was pretty hardcore back then. I'm told now it's very soft and it's easy to get into and it's not a problem anymore. But I went to Duntroon when I was 18 years of age, and quite the privilege to get 18 months of training. So I'm going to try and compress all that into just today, okay? And so everyone right to go till midnight today? Because I'm good to go to midnight if you are. No, we'll finish on time. But so first thing is I acknowledge that I've had the privilege of that training and a real advantage from that. And I want to share with you the gems from that and what I then went on to do. I served in the regular army for 14 years, and I had my first command when I was 20 years of age. I was in charge of 30 soldiers. I went to war twice. I went to East Timor. By that stage, by the time I got there, it was a border war, basically stopping the former militia who had left East Timor and gone into West Timor from coming back across the border and doing things. So I have led at the patrol level on combat operations. So I say, to speak plainly, I have been sent to kill people, okay? And I didn't kill anyone before anyone asked. And by the way, don't ever ask that, because it's a good lesson to learn. If you're talking to someone, and whether they be a police officer or anyone like that, they're at a barbecue, they're having a great time, and then you innocently ask them, hey, can you tell me about that time that you had one of the most traumatic experiences in your life? And so, but fortunately for me, I think very fortunate. Whilst I obviously wasn't very good at it because I was sent to get them, but I missed. So, but I went to Iraq as well in 2005. And as a soldier, you do your duty. You do your duty, and it's not. You basically resign your freedom to serve your country and the people of your country. So I went for you. And so, whatever you think of the Iraq War, whatever, I don't care. That was my job. I went and did my job, and the elected government of the day, who was elected by the majority of the people of Australia, decided that's what should happen. I went and did that job, yeah. So, but in that experience, you learn a lot, right? And, people say business is tough. Try war. It's tough as well, right? But I'll tell you something, there are a lot of parallels between business and war. Obviously, except the bit where people die, Although even, sometimes we have industrial accidents and things like that. But it is quite a high pressure environment in business because when you have a job, things are a lot easier, right? You kind of just do your job. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. Go and work for someone else. When you have a business and it doesn't work out, you lose everything. And you feel that pain. You feel that humiliation and shame. You feel that, embarrassment of not being able to pay your bills on time. You feel the frustration. You start getting a few haters. Who here's got haters? They're usually former employees that you fired because they were incompetent, but then they blamed you. Anyone got haters? Yeah, I got a long list. I'll share it with you later if you like. All right. I do have a master's in business. A bit of a story about that. And basically, it's useless, hey? I have an MBA, and I reckon I've applied maybe none of it. I was a bit of a wayward kid, and I got set straight by going into the Army Cadets. And when I left the Army, I wanted to pay forward what was done for me. So I actually founded an organisation called Military Cadets, which was basically a more hardcore version of the Army Cadets, run by real veterans. And that was a big success. And it went from, 2 kids on the first night to 400 kids in 7 locations with 70 adults, full volunteer. And then I was asked to start a boot camp program for the Queensland government, which was as an alternative to initial sentencing. So I went and started that. But then they got voted out, so I started it anyway. And I actually got nominated Australian of the Year for that work. So there's another part of me that a lot of people don't know about. But 800 kids ended up doing that boot camp, Veterans for Youth. It's no longer running anymore. I shut it down that's another story. But whole heap of guys who worked for me went and then started another program that continues to this day. So very proud of that. And probably a couple of thousand kids have done military cadets now. I've been a serial entrepreneur for 14 years. And when Dale and I were talking about today, Dale, he said to me, make sure you explain to people that I'm not just here today to teach you how to lead in the army, because you're not in the army, right? Leading in the army is actually can be a lot easier because you have what I call the quiet presence of the Defence Force Discipline Act, which is an act of Parliament that says I can put you in jail if you don't do what I say, right? But literally, right? But in business, we don't obviously have that, right? We've got very limited disciplinary options in business. And often those disciplinary options hurt you just as much as they hurt them, right? Which is to sack them. And when you sack someone, everyone loses, right? When you sack someone, they lose because they've now got this negative chapter in their life, and then they feel bad about themselves, and that's not success. They don't feel good about themselves. You lose, don't you? Why do you lose? Because you've had to deal with this negativity. It's consumed a lot of your time. You've invested all this effort into someone who didn't work out. Now you've got to go back to the drawing board. You've lost all that productivity, right? Where you're trying to get that person to work, and then you end up having to sack them. Now you've got to go and recruit someone else, and you've wasted probably 3 times more time than you think on that person, right? And we're going to talk a bit about that later. And I've learned a lot of those lessons the hard way as well. I have successfully built and sold a business without ever working in it. Has anyone done that in the room? No. And when I did it, I was like, what have I been doing all this time? Why didn't I just do this from the beginning, right? But it takes a shift in mindset, right? And so what it was is a property management company, and I own a property investment company, among other things, and we used to refer all our business off to someone else. I said, we just got to stop doing this. This is stupid, right? So I hired a general manager and a senior technician, a senior property manager. I said, you guys, make this happen, right? And I funded it with cash flow from the first business. So I just put those 2 on the payroll of the first business until they built that second business up to be self-sufficient. And then I switched them over. And then 4 years later, I sold it for $615,000. Oh. Yeah. Any of you can do that, okay? There's just a gap, right? And what's that gap? It's your ability to lead and manage that activity, right? And the manager that I put in place, he had it's probably not true that I didn't work at all in the business. I worked half an hour a week, which is my meeting I had with the general manager every week. just so he would have some accountability and reporting to do. Okay? But of course, I knew what questions to ask him. I knew what tasks to give him. I knew what reports to ask him to give to me, etc. Right? I've written 10 books. When I say say inverted commas. Actually, Sharon, can you stand up for a second, please? So this is Sharon, everybody, and Sharon's from South Africa. And when Dale, and Sharon was the first South African I employed, and she's now my chief marketing officer. And when the reason I made you stand up is because Dale asked you to before and you didn't, and you're in trouble, so I made you. That's fine. But I want and she's come all the way from Johannesburg to be here for the conference and support me. So thank you, Sharon. But I actually have a full-time South African writer and researcher who works behind the scenes, and her name is Nicole, and she was the second South African that I employed after Sharon. And the 10 books that I've written, they're all my words. They're all my ideas and concepts. But what I've learned to do is delegate the critical bits and come up with a creative process where we can capture my words and thoughts and things, and then have someone else put them all into the book. Have someone else do the graphics, And is that smart? Yeah, in 2 years, I actually had written 1 book. I've written 9 in the last, and we've got 2 already going, and we're writing about a book a quarter at the moment, so it's pretty exciting. I'm also now a business consultant and keynote speaker. I actually only work, I didn't want Sharon to hear this, I actually only work 15 hours a week on my businesses, okay? And that's because I've got myself to the point where I've leveraged myself out of the businesses, okay? And so I work 15 hours a week, and I have a lot of spare time now, which I am focusing on my health and my family and, all my other things that I'm interested in. But one of the things I love to do is go and speak. And so this is what I love, because I get a lot of personal satisfaction out of helping other people. I don't know, call me weird, but I do, right? And I like the concept of paying forward, right? And a lot of, certainly this community, I've received enormous amount of help over the years. So I'm really honoured to be able to do this today. And I'm the CEO of the Integrity X Group. Now, just a real slide. So that's the org chart right now. And so that's, I say I'm not a professional speaker, I'm a professional who speaks. Okay, so we've got Integrity Property Investment, Smart Workforce Solutions, DP.com is my personal brand, and I've got a corporate headquarters across the top. Green is South African, blue is Australian, yellow is Filipino, and rose is New Zealander. She's actually a Kiwi, she's actually a South African in New Zealand. Yeah, she started working for me from South Africa and then migrated. So. All right, so real talk now. And I don't put that up there to gloat, I'm just saying, look, this is just who I am, and this is what I do. So if you, in terms of the questions you might want to ask me later, you've got an understanding of the context and what I'm doing. So. All right, I'm not here to teach military leadership today that doesn't work in business, okay? I have led in the military, but I've also led in business, and I've led in not-for-profit organisations. Now, if you want to learn about leadership, go and lead in a not-for-profit, where everyone is a volunteer and not being paid. Okay, so if people are working for free, why are they there? Why are they there? Can we run a microphone? Let me ask a question. Do you want to have a guess? Why would you work for free? Yep.
Purpose.
For purpose, right? Yep. Aligned values?
Aligned values.
Aligned values, yes. You're achieving something significant. I think that's kind of the same theme, right?
Yeah, same theme, believing in the cause.
Okay, believe in a cause. Now, this is really valuable what's happening right now when we talk about why people would want to... Yep.
Vision and mission.
Mission, vision, yes.
Community spirit.
Community, to be part of something meaningful, yep, okay. But can we go one more with Amanda? Yep.
To contribute.
To contribute, to make a contribution, right. So military cadets, I didn't draw a cent from. Veterans for Youth, I didn't draw a cent from. In fact, they just cost me money, as I sort of invested and support them. Why on earth would I do that? I must be a real weirdo, right? And so right there is your first insight into leadership. Okay? With your business, Is there purpose and meaning to your business? How are you actually adding value to society? Just reflect on that, maybe take a bit of notes, because right there, we're going to build on that later, okay? All right. Leadership is leadership no matter where it is. Okay, if you don't think that, you probably got the wrong definition of leadership, okay? Leadership is not command, okay? It's not authority and people doing what you say because they have to. That's not leadership. And leadership is not management. Management is resources, the efficient use of resources, be they human beings, materials, equipment, machines, whatever, right? Management of time. I'm not a war hero, and I'm not a perfect leader. I think anyone who goes to war deserves to be, respected for the fact that they were willing to die. They were prepared to die. And that's why we have Remembrance Day today, and we remember those who did do that. But I'm not a hero, And if I'm a hero, then everyone who serves is a hero, because I didn't win any gallantry awards. I didn't, take out any machine gun nests or anything like that. But, all right, and I'm not a perfect leader. I know, right? You're surprised, right? Sharon's like, Maybe, but some of us are closer to it than others, yeah? And that's our goal, is just to aspire to be the best leader we can be honest with ourselves, and move in that direction. I'm not a professional speaker. I've had a nervous breakdown. I've had a divorce, and I've had a business collapse. I've literally been on the floor in my bedroom. Big tough soldier who's been to 2 wars. That didn't make me cry. My business collapse and my divorce made me lay on the floor in a ball and cry, And so I know what that's like. And I'm telling you that today, as much as I'm afraid it'll tarnish my macho image. But I'll tell you that today because I know there's people in the room who have been exactly there, right? You've been there, right? You've been there, and you don't want to talk about it at parties, but I just want you to know it's okay, and it's actually normal. Most entrepreneurs, I think entrepreneurialism, and you're all entrepreneurs, by the way. If you're running a business, you're an entrepreneur, whether you like it or not, right? You started an enterprise. So get comfortable with that term. I think in Australia, entrepreneur's synonymous with wanker, right? And people go, oh, look at it, he thinks he's an entrepreneur. But if you actually look at the actual technical definition of an entrepreneur, is somebody who creates and grows enterprises, right? You're an entrepreneur. Right. I've been ripped off, stolen from, lied to, betrayed, you name it, I got it. We can talk about that all day if you want, but it's in the rear vision mirror, not the forward mirror, yeah. But I've also made millions of dollars in business, and that's you just you get knocked down, you just got to get back up, hey. You got to learn your lessons and go, okay, why did that happen? What did I need to learn from that? I think when things go wrong, the most important thing is that you actually do take the time to focus on what really went wrong. Not the whole thing. There's probably only 1 or 2 things, and then there was probably 20 to 30 things that went right. But that 1 or 2 things is what tripped you up, right? And so what happens in life is we often overcorrect. Anyone ever overcorrected? It's so the analogy I use, I need probably a better one, is so a girl dates a guy who drives a red Commodore, right? And he turns out to be an abusive jerk. So she says, what? I'm never dating a guy who drives a red Commodore ever again, right? Because there's an association thing there, right? But when you think about it, it's the man of your dreams might also drive a red Commodore. So when things go wrong, it's really important that we focus in on exactly what went wrong. And we learn from that, and we get back on the horse, and we keep driving forward, right? Because if you don't get back on the horse, and if you don't keep driving forward, you are just going to sit where you were. You are not going to move. And all those reasons you went into business for yourself, all those reasons will be irrelevant. All that time so far will be wasted. Who knows someone who's quit their business and gone back to working? Yeah, okay. And sometimes you have to do that as a survival mechanism. I started alone in the spare room of my house. So when I left the army, I went and worked for someone else for a little while, realised he was dodgy, and then I started Integrity Property Investment. And it literally started from the spare room of my house. And then I got a VA, a Filipino virtual assistant. Then I had a local PA and local marketing manager, and they worked from the second lounge room. And eventually we got to the point where they're like, Daimien, can we get an office now, please? And so we got an office. And we had an office and we grew all the way up to the collapse. And then we went back to a house. And then COVID forced everyone to work from home. And I went, you know what, and then we were forced to make that work. And now I wouldn't go back to an office. Now I think we're at 64 people, and they all work from home, all around the world. Our office is the virtual space, okay? This is who I am. I am a leader. I am a professional. I am a businessman who also speaks. And I'm one resilient and determined mother. Okay? And I've learned that. I've learned that resilience is probably, and determination, they are what will make you wealthy. They are what will make you succeed. Okay? Because you are going to get knocked in the face. You're going to get punched in the face hard. If it hasn't happened to you yet, give it time. It's coming. Right? Do you know how? It's coming for you. All right. All right. Now this is one of my favourite quotes. Who knows this one? The man in the arena. It's an old quote, hey? So we can put non-binary language in it if you need that, right? But maybe... All right. And it's in your workbook as well. So let's have a quick look at the workbook. We're going to do 10 activities today, and I really wanted people to leave today with with real things that you can implement in your business. Would that be all right? Yeah, so please, because, sometimes people get up here and they talk, and I'm not going to reference any particular speakers, but they talk and then you kind of go, oh, that was nice, and then it's almost like the fire hose effect, and then you go back from the conference and you're like, that was a really good conference, but I don't know, I'm not sure what I should do, So what I want to do here is get you started on a whole heap of stuff, and then you can take this workbook home with you. The quote's in there. Put that quote on your wall whenever you're struggling. All right, shall we get into our first activity? All right, who's pumped? Woo! All right, let's go. Okay, leadership. Number one, you are the first leader in your business, whether you like it or not. Okay, I did this in the Philippines. I asked a great question. I said, okay, who here is in charge of their business? Who is the boss of their business? Put your hand up nice and high if you are the boss of your business. Please play along. If you're not, that's okay. Put your hand up nice and high if you are the boss. You are the general manager, you are the CEO, whatever title, director, whatever you're giving yourself. Okay, keep your hand up if you consider that you are a good leader. Keep your hand up if you think you're a good leader. And half the room's hands went down. That's okay, you can all put your hand down. So half of you have got someone who's not a good leader running your business. Let that sink in for a second. So that's okay. We just need to be honest with ourselves about that, and we need to identify that as a weakness in ourselves that we need to fix. Okay? Or go and hire someone else to run your business for you, which does have a lot more risk, by the way, but it can work. Lots of big companies around the world are run by people that have been hired to do it. All right. You must have an inspiring vision for the business. And that vision is, you go to these corporate conference rooms and they've got their mission statement on the wall and core values and all that stuff. And you walk out in the hallway and you go to the first desk and you say, hey, what's the mission statement of this company? And they go, oh, I don't know. Because all that stuff's rubbish if people haven't internalized it and they don't truly believe it, right? And this is where you've got to have a cause. It's like when, was it Steve Jobs? No, it wasn't Steve Jobs. Was it Steve Jobs? No, it was the other guy. And he said to the head marketer of Pepsi, and he said, do you want to sell sugar water forever? Or do you want to come and change the world? Right? Leadership vision. You must sell that vision to your team. You must have a real plan to achieve the vision. You must attract the best team. And you must inspire that team. So I'll tell you a little bit of a story. When I started military cadets, I actually had been in the Army cadets as a kid, and when I left the Army, I went to the Army cadets to volunteer. And what I noticed is 30 years later, it was a broken mess. The Army cadets was crippled by bureaucracy. They didn't do anything fun anymore because someone might get hurt. It was a bit embarrassing, right? So I went, you know what, screw this, I'm going to start my own. And I called it the Military Cadets, right? And it's a not-for-profit incorporated association in the state of Queensland. And the first night, only 2 kids turned up, and I was like, I better fix my marketing. So I went to 2 school assemblies that week, Sandgate State High School, and what's the one at Shorncliffe? St Patrick's at Shorncliffe. And I stood on the assembly, I stood on the stage, and I knew my audience there. My audience was the children. And I said, who here would like to go camping? A few hands went up. I said, who here would like to learn survival skills like Bear Grylls? A few more hands up. And I said, who here just wants to shoot a gun? And then everyone's hand went up. I said, who wants to go parachuting? And everyone's like, yeah. And then I had a bunch of flyers in my hand, and I said, I'll be standing at the back of the hall at the end of assembly. If you're interested in joining the Military Cadets, we've just started in Sandgate. Grab a flyer off me. Friday night, bring mum and or dad down to the Girl Guides hut at Sandgate, behind the courthouse, right? And it's the only place we could start. Boom. That Friday night, standing room only, right? Packed. And there was 39 children in the room and their parents, right? And I got up and I said this. My name's Daimien Patterson. I was in the regular army. I was also a cadet. I was a wayward kid. My life got turned around. I've now started this program. I'm going to help other kids. But I want to be very clear with you. This program will not be soft on your child. I'm going to take your children into the bush. They're going to be tired, soaking wet, hungry, exhausted. And in the process of doing that, they're going to learn more about themselves than they ever will in 12 years of school. If your child needs a kick in the ass, they will get a kick in the ass. If they need a hug, they will get a hug. And if they deserve credit, they'll be praised and rewarded. They will learn leadership skills and they'll go on to become exceptional adults. That's my commitment to you. If you want something softer, if you think that's too hard for your child, the Scouts are on at 6:30 on Wednesday night, just down the road at the Scout Hall. I recommend that. 38 of 39 kids signed up, right? The room went silent when I finished my speech. I thought, geez, I've screwed up here. I've gone too far. I've said too much. Parents literally lined up and shook my hand one by one and signed their kids up immediately. Why? Sorry? Can we go around? Yeah, microphone. Why did they sign up?
You provided clarity.
Clarity? Yes? Anyone else want to have it? Why would you sign your kid up to that?
The values.
Values, yes. Next to you.
Your vision.
Clear vision. Strong leader stands out the front and says, this is what we're doing, these are the reasons why, and we're going in that direction. And everyone goes, hell yeah, I'm following that guy. Most people just want someone to lead. Most people are actually shit scared of ever taking charge because they don't want that responsibility, they don't want that pressure. You stand up and you articulate your vision clearly and you have a worthy goal, people will follow you in droves. And from that speech, as I said, we went to 400 kids. We started 7 units. We had veterans driving over an hour to come and be part of my little unit. And then we said, well, why don't we just start a unit up where you live? And they're like, okay, let's do it. And that's how we grew. Okay? Clear vision based on values, a clear vision of success, a purpose and meaning. Think about your business and how you could apply those principles to create a real vision for your business, not some wanky statement that you put on the conference room wall. Okay. All right, leadership definition. And you want to write this down, there's a space in your workbook for it, okay? Leadership is the art of influencing and directing people to achieve willingly the team or organisational goal. Now, there's 4 operative words there I want you to pay attention to. It's an art form, not a science. It's an art form, not a science, okay? What does that mean? What does that mean? Art is in the eye of the beholder, yeah? What one person will want you to lead them, one person will say, you don't provide enough direction, I don't know what I'm doing, you know, you're a horrible leader. The next person will say, will you just leave me alone? Tell me what you want done and leave me the hell alone and I will get it done for you, right? And as a leader, you have to have the emotional intelligence to identify what each person in your group wants from you. It's an art form. There's no template, right? There's no template that fits all when it comes to leadership. So it's a human interaction, and so you need to spend time interacting with your humans and working them out and working out what they need from you, okay? Influencing. Influencing is an important word. How do we influence behaviour? We're going to talk about that later in our core values and professional principles and the way we do things and our leadership principles. And to achieve willingly. They want to do it, not because they have to. They want to do it. And the team or organisational goal. Whatever the organisation is you're leading, okay, it has goals. That's what everyone's there for. Everyone's there to achieve the organisation's goals, not your personal goals, okay? The art of influencing and directing people to achieve willingly the team or organisational goal. Now, if you want to be a better leader, it would be a good place to start to actually know what leadership is. So if you know what it actually is, then you know what you need to focus on. Okay, everyone got that down? Like high school exams. When pens are down, I'll go. All right. All right. Before we talk about leadership, I want to give you all a bit of advice that my granddad did. So when I graduated from Duntroon, I went and saw my grandfather, and he was a World War II veteran. And I said, what advice have you got for a young officer in the army? He gave me 2 bits of advice. The first one he said, and this is relevant to business as well, he said, there's a job for everyone in the army. There's a job for everyone in the army. And if you've got someone not doing well in that job, it's because you, the leader, have given them the wrong job. Right? Think about that. Have you got someone who's not performing well at the moment? Part of it might be that you've given them a task set that's not appropriate. They're not good at it. You know, so you're either going to have to get rid of them or get them working on the things they're good at. Because if you get people working on things they're not good at, you're just going to get resistance, poor productivity, frustration. You're going to be frustrated, they're going to be frustrated. It's just easier just to get people who are good at stuff and get them to do the stuff, right? But yet, who here is trying to smash a square peg into a round hole right now in their business? Yep. All right. The second thing he said is you must be able to take orders before you can give them. And I think that's really important. And a lot of people, they aspire to be leaders so that they don't have to do anything anymore. They just want to be able to tell everyone else what to do. But you must be a good soldier before you can be a good officer. You know, you've got to be, everyone's got a boss, you've got to be able to take orders, and you've got to be able to, through leading by example, show, okay, we just need to get on with the job right now. Okay? It's not about being a suck-up. So we've got rules of followership, right? Not about being suck-ups. If you are in charge, what kind of followers would you appreciate having? And if someone proves their long-term loyalty to you, what are you more likely to do for them? So you actually have to have a conversation with your team about what you expect of them as followers, which seems weird, hey? Because usually as a leader, you're like, no, it's all on me, like the pressure's on me, I've got to be a certain person. No, they've got to be a certain person as well. So these are the rules. There's a section you want to write these down. Okay, don't blame the boss. We can actually get these slides out to people as well, that's no problem. Don't blame the boss. So whenever things aren't going well, you know, you don't go, it's all the boss's fault. But if you're a good follower, who's got middle managers, like people between them and so it's good for them as well. Don't use the boss's name in vain. I was taught you always act on your own authority. Okay, whenever you're giving direction, you say, right, this is what we're doing. And people are like, where'd that come from? You go, from me. You know, it doesn't matter. If you're going, the boss said we have to do this, then you're a weak leader. Use initiative. Don't wait to be told. If there's a problem that needs to be fixed, accept responsibility. If it's your job, it's your job. Tell the truth and get to the point quickly. Deal in facts. Deal in facts is one of my favourites. When I went to Duntroon, my dad said to me, listen, rule number 1, stay calm. They're going to deliberately put pressure on you. They're going to deliberately scream at you. They're going to deliberately create a crisis. They're going to give you unrealistic timings that you'll never meet. They'll give you a task to do and deliberately not give you the resources you need. Why are they doing that? It's called leadership training, right? And because leaders can function in crisis. And you think about what the Royal Military College is trying to do, is actually trying to create leaders who can function on the battlefield, right? When you're tired, hungry, wet, covered in mud, haven't slept for days, people are dying around you, people are getting wounded, explosions are going off, your ears are ringing because it's so violently loud, but yet you're just like, yep, okay? Stay calm no matter what, right? And the second rule is deal in facts. Deal in facts. A lot of us end up making bad decisions because we make those decisions based on speculation. It's all good. It's all my fault, as usual. Don't make decisions based on speculation. You know, people say, well, I heard that such and such did this. Well, is that a fact or is that a rumour? We're okay. I just won't move. Probably better for everyone. Okay, it wasn't me. You're pretty good, Daniel. Do your homework first before you go to the boss. You know, do your homework. Keep the boss informed and never bring a problem without a solution. And always remember the value of loyalty. So what I say to my people is I say, look, if you were the boss, who are you going to promote? Who are you going to give pay rises to? Who are you going to give opportunities to? The people who are lazy, the people who are always criticising the business, complaining, gossiping, turning up late, leaving early, are you those people? Or are you going to promote the people who are loyal and show their loyalty, not just through their words, but through their actions? It's an important conversation to have with your people and say, if you want more loyalty from your people, have a conversation with them about loyalty. And it's quite logical, but people don't think about it. But there's a lot of toxicity in the Australian working culture. A lot, right? A lot of it. A lot of gossip, smokers areas. I was so great when we didn't have an office anymore, because the smokers area, I swear, that's where all the mutinies started, right? At the smokers area, right? Yeah, they're all out there and someone's holding court, you know, and smokers have this, who's a smoker? You know what I'm talking about, or former smokers. They have this kind of brotherhood, sisterhood, don't they? You know, the smokers, they're like, yeah, we're the smokers, we're shunned, so we're going to stick together, you know. But always remember value of loyalty. Okay, principles of leadership. Be proficient. What does that mean? It means know your stuff, okay? So if you're running a property investment company, make sure you actually know the property investment doctrine. Like, know your stuff. Whatever your product or service is that you sell, know it backwards, okay? And if you're in leadership or management position, then be a good leader, be a good manager, and make sure that when people look at you, they see a competent person at whatever you're doing. If you are incompetent, you'll lose everyone's confidence straight away. They'll just be like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not following that guy or girl anywhere, right? So you must know your stuff. Whatever it is you're doing, you must understand it well. Now, as soon as I finish these principles, we're going to do an activity. And one of these is a self-assessment, okay? So as we're going through each of these, ask yourself, are you these things? Know yourself and seek self-improvement. So the fact that you're at Blueprint is a testament of that the people in this room are seeking self-improvement. You're identified that you've got weaknesses and you're here to do something about it, so well done, okay? Know yourself and seek self-improvement. But I think the know yourself thing is also about being honest with yourself. You know, being honest with yourself. You don't have to put yourself down. You know, you just have to be honest in your assessment of yourself, okay? Seek and accept responsibility. All right, if it happens on your watch, you are responsible. Now, a lot of people have a real hard time with this, okay? If it's in your team, you're responsible. If Jono screws up, it's also your fault. I don't like the word fault. It's his fault, but it's your responsibility. Why is it can we run the microphone? Why is it your responsibility when one of your team members screws up? Why is that? John up the back, yeah. Why is it your responsibility?
You gave him the job.
You gave him the job, yep. You recruited him, yeah? All right, anyone else gonna? Why is it your responsibility?
You're the captain.
You're in charge.
Yep.
Yeah. If it's not your responsibility, whose responsibility is it? Jono's? We're just going to hang Jono out to dry? Huh?
So you might not have trained him appropriately, or you haven't given clear instructions.
You may not have, yeah. So you've recruited them. You may not have recruited them properly. You may not have trained them properly. You may not have, yep.
Yeah, that was I was going to say it's about instructions that you're giving them, making sure that they understand and
Yep.
the communication is clear.
Clear direction, yeah. Okay, so at the Defence Force Academy, they had, some of you might remember, they had a bit of a scandal, you know, a bit of sex scandal, but you put a whole bunch of 18 to 21-year-olds, there's like a couple of thousand of them, all living on campus together, you know, stuff's going to happen. And then a few of my friends said, oh, you know, it's just a university, that sort of stuff happens at university. And I was like, bullshit. Not a university, it's a university, but all of those people are subject to military law. All of those people are getting paid a salary, and the moment they get off the bus and they turn up at the academy, you line them all up and you say, right, these are the rules, and these are our values, and these are the consequences, and straight away you go, no one is to be in anyone else's room. If you're in their room, then you are potentially the perpetrator. Straight away. Like, all they need to do is no one is to be in anyone else's room. Military law, done, no more sex scandals. Right? It was a failure of leadership that scandal happened in the first place. Failure of leadership. Because the values and the standards weren't set, the Riot Act wasn't read, and people were left unsupervised off to their own devices, right? No. So you, as a business owner, as the leader of your business, you have a responsibility to set the values, set the expectations, read the Riot Act to every person who comes and joins your organisation. If you don't, consider the alternative. They just do whatever they want. And then we find out the hard way, the rules, when you have to discipline them and potentially fire them and lose a good staff member who is the victim of their behaviour. Lead by example. This is really important. If you want to lose the respect of your people, tell them to do something and then don't do it yourself. Real simple. Okay, whatever you want people to do, you have to model that behaviour. Does that make sense? So if you have like a dress code, you have to follow the dress code. If you have an expectation, then you articulate you must do it all the time. So is there a double standard? And some people say, no, I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want. Well, good luck. Provide direction. That's your job. You're in charge. You need to actually tell people what's going on. The people are waiting. You're the leader, not them. They're waiting for you to tell them what to do. Who feels like they've got people sitting, not doing very much of their jobs right now? Who feels like they're paying people to not do much work? Who reckons they've got people with spare capacity, people who are bludging? Yep. Okay. Yep. A few hands around the room. Okay. If that's happening, you're responsible. Okay? And I reckon I got a couple myself. All right? But you're responsible. Why are you responsible? Because you have failed to what? Give direction, provide adequate supervision, come up with a plan where there's actually meaningful work for them to do. It's always your fault, right? But it's their fault too, because they're not putting their hand up and saying, listen, I need more work. But it's you. It all comes back to you. And the thing is, people go, well, how am I supposed to do all this, Daimien? You know, I've only got so many hours in a day. And we'll talk about that later. All right. Know and care for your subordinates. All right. If you really want to get the best out of people, just show them that you care. It's really, really important. Okay? And every time something goes wrong in one of your team members' lives, there's actually a leadership opportunity for you right there to make some deposits in their emotional bank account and actually show them that you give and talk to them, reach out to them, say, hey, I heard about that, show some real empathy and say, is there anything I can do to help you? And if you support them in that moment of need, they will pay that back to you tenfold in their productivity and loyalty to you later. Yep. And who's had a boss who supported them in a moment of need in their past? Yep. You know exactly, right? So every time something goes wrong, there's an opportunity for you. So one of the things I used to do when I was in the army, it was like a standing order that if any soldier went to hospital, I was to be told immediately. right? So then when my last job in the regular army, I was 32 years of age, I was a major, and I was in charge of 100 soldiers at 32, right? And all men, except for, I think our clerk was a female. And the rest were all men, you know, because we're in the artillery, like, they didn't let women in the artillery back then. So they do now, which is good. But anyway, so I would go to the shop. The reason why I'm specifying that it was all men is because it will make sense in a second. I would go to the shop and I would buy an FHM magazine, a bottle of Coke, a toothbrush, and a little travel-sized toothpaste, right? And then I would go, on my way home, I would go to the army hospital and I would find my soldier and I would bring that and I'd give that to them and I'd sit there and I'd just talk to them, right? Who's been in hospital before? Hospital's when you find out who cares about you. You sit there, because all of a sudden you've got all this time, right? You're just sitting there, and you're waiting to see who shows up. Yeah? If one of your people goes to hospital, you get your ass to that hospital. Okay? It's an opportunity for you to show them how much you care and look after them. Okay? Don't let those opportunities go. Develop the potential of your subordinates. Okay, people need to feel like they're growing. Who knows who Grant Cardone is? Grant Cardone? Yeah. So I went to his 10X conference, and to be honest with you, I don't like him as a person. I think he's arrogant and rude and bullshit, right? He's a very successful guy. He's a billionaire. But my criteria of success has more categories than money, you know. But anyway, I got to ask him a question. And this question was really, really valuable. I want to share the answer he gave. And I didn't anticipate this at all. I said to him, how do you keep your best people? How do you keep, and he goes, tell me what happened. So I told him the story, you know, like, show me on the doll where they touched you, you know. And I was, I might do inappropriate jokes from time to time. Anyway, and then, so I told the story, and then he said, okay. And I said, should I give them shares in the business? He goes, no. I said, should I pay bigger bonuses? No. He said, the reason that person left is because their vision for themselves was greater than your vision for the company. Everyone hear what I just said? Their vision for themselves was greater than your vision for your company, so they came and they worked for you as far as they could, and when they couldn't advance any further working for you, they left. And they went and did their own thing. If you want to keep good people, you have to give them opportunity to stay with you forever. And from that day, all my goals, I had like these plans of like hitting a certain target and then selling and retiring forever. That all went out the window. I'm like, well, we're going to go forever. And the company will go forever. The companies will go forever. They will never stop. I might retire from the company, but the company will go forever. And the vision for the company is not limited. So anyone who works for any of my companies can know that they can stay with me forever, Sharon, forever, right? We're in it forever. And they can stay with me until the day they retire, and they will continue to advance and they'll continue to be promoted as long as, you know, they meet their side of that deal. And so the vision is there. And when we get to vision later today, keep that one in mind as well. All right, make sound and timely decisions. This is really important. Nothing worse than a leader who just won't make a freaking decision, you know? Just make a decision. It may be the wrong, like a decision today is better than no decision tomorrow, okay? You can always change the plan. If you make a bad decision, then you go, oh, that wasn't quite right. Adjust it, but at least you're moving forward. Don't ever just sit there frozen. Build your team and challenge its abilities. So my sales consultants in the property investment company, they were a bit slack, you know, so we set a 7-day, 100 lead challenge. We gave them all 100 leads. And we said, right, you've got 7 days to get the most business out of your 100 leads that you've been allocated. Right, 7 days. And there was a deadline. Away you go. Winner gets $5,000. Right, they all work like 3 times as hard all of a sudden. Surprise, surprise, right? I'll tell you another story about that. So back in the army, 150 people turn up to a PT session. I'm one of them, okay? And physical training instructor, one person, 150 people. PTI smart, says, right, everyone break up into groups of 3. Now he's got 50 units to control, not 150, right? He says, okay, big group today, we're going to run the ring road at Enoggera Barracks. Back, we'll do 2 push-ups. You must run as a group. You must stay together. Last person from your group over the line is your position, right? And then the last people to get back will do how many push-ups? Like 100, right? It's increments of 2. Now, I was, at this stage, considered middle-aged in the army. I think I was like 28 or something. But I had these young guys who were like 18, 19, and I was a bit out of shape, but I never ran so hard in my friggin' life. Because the thought of letting them down was way over, like I'll let myself down, no worries at all, that's fine. I can look myself in the mirror, hey man, you're a very good looking man, hey, you're good to go. You know, healthy ego. But let them down, no. I was like coughing blood at the end of that run, right? Because when you put people in a group and then challenge that group, you will get enormous productivity out of them, okay? So when you set challenges, don't just set individual challenges, but also set group challenges, okay? If you want to get productivity out of people. I remember when I was a kid, I used to work as a landscape labourer. And I remember the truck would come and dump the big, anyone ever work as a labourer? You should do it like once in your life, just so you know what real hard work is, and then you're motivated to never do it again. Right? So dump truck dumps all the dirt, and the dirt had to be moved from there to 200 metres that way into the garden beds, right? And so he goes, right, you 3, we're going to have a competition to see who can move the most barrels of dirt in 30 minutes. Go. And then he just stood there and went 1, 2, 3. And I don't know, I was just an idiot, I guess. And I wanted to win the competition, you know. So challenge the team and build its abilities. Keep your team informed. And the last one is thoughtfulness, okay? And thoughtfulness really makes a big difference. It makes a difference in a relationship, right? You can see your partner is in need, so you go and do a little thing for them to help them. Well, do that with your team as well. Try and be proactive in helping your people out and making a positive impact. All right, we have got about 8 minutes. So what we're going to do in the 8 minutes now is we're going to do the workbook. Okay, and I'll do questions at the same time, so just turn to your workbook. You should have definition of leadership, rules of fellowship, and the principles of leadership. But what I want you to do is I want you to do a self-assessment against each of those principles, 1 to 5. Okay, 1 being not so good, 5 being really good, and give yourself a score. Well, there's 11 of them, so it'll be a score out of 55, okay, for your current level of leadership. Do you practice those principles? Who would like me to go back to the leadership slide? Should I go back? I'll go back, just so you've got them on the... Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions while we do this exercise? Kimon.
Where it's the proficiency, if I'm sort of looking at creating an initiative, like performing a new task that I've never done before.
Yes.
How can that be defined within, so that
Be proficient.
be proficient?
Yeah, so if you have identified that there's something new in your business you want to do, a new product or service you want to provide, then the onus is on you first as the leader to go and work out how to do that. You know, or at least know enough about it so that you can market it and sell it and employ that capability in your business correctly. So you don't necessarily need to go and do the whole course. You don't need to go and get certified, but you do need to understand it enough to be able to lead that organisation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep, great.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's more of being of service, I guess, yes.
Yeah, so you don't always have to go and do the full course. Like, you can employ a civil engineer in your business without doing a civil engineering degree, but you still need to have an understanding of what a civil engineer does, what particular thing you want the business to do, and what the engineering aspects of that are, and then have those conversations and understand that product and service up front before you then start routinely delivering it. Be proficient. Yeah. Okay, we're right on 11 o'clock now. So what we're going to do, okay, is this good stuff so far? Are we getting value? Everyone, yep? Okay. So really take this time today to just do a bit of inward reflection on yourself and take notes. And I want you to take that workbook away to your businesses and actually implement them. One person said that, what was your name again, sorry? Just said that she's just shut down her business and is about to go to the next phase, right? And I said, well, this is great timing to reflect on yourself. as well, you know, and what obviously you'll do something next, what are you going to do? But do you know what? You are a leader in all aspects as well. You're a leader in your family. If you've got children, you're a leader of your children. You're a leader of your friendship group. When someone else is struggling, you need to step in as a friend and lead them, provide leadership to them in a constructive, positive, supporting way, you know. And, you know, it's interesting, Dale said there's 2 skills, Kiyosaki said 2 skills, sales and leadership. What's sales? Leadership. Sales is leadership. You're leading a person, you're leading them to a solution to their problem, right? You come in, you're taking a position of authority as an expert in that problem, and you're saying, listen, I've got the solution for you. Here's the solution. Let me talk you through it. Boom, boom, boom. Does that suit you? Yes, good. Visa or MasterCard. Right. So the alternate class, red one or one. All right. Okay, so today is the 11th of November, Remembrance Day. And Remembrance Day is the day that World War I ended. Okay, it was 11 a.m. on the 11th of November, 1918, that the Allied parties, both parties decided to have a ceasefire and end the war at that time. So we take this time every year to just remember those people. And those people are real people. Okay, those people were your great-great-grandfathers. And in some case, some of you, maybe your grandfather, but real people who lived in your street. You know, and can you imagine if we had to do that today? The entire country was mobilised. Every able-bodied man went to war, and every able-bodied woman supported however they could, whether they were a nurse in the war or they ran the factories and they ran everything back here so that the men could go to war. It affected everybody. And the casualties were huge, okay? In World War I, the casualties were, 1 in every 4 people who were wounded died, were killed, and then for every 1 killed in action, there were 3 wounded. And no family was left untouched by World War I. So what I'm going to do now is just read the ode, and then we'll have a minute's silence, and then we'll go to the break. Okay, all right. They shall grow not old, as we, the left, grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget. Okay, everybody. Thank you, Dale. Take a break.
All right, thank you, Damo. Off to a great start, and of course we've got heaps more still to come, but we are going to take our morning break right now. I'm not sure if the coffee stand is open just out the doors yet, but if not, we're working on getting that solved. But if you want a coffee, you can just walk to the nearby shops. In terms of the timing, we're going to be starting again at exactly, let me see here, 11:25, okay? So 11:25 is when we're going to be starting again, so you have about 22 minutes from now. So please be back on time, and then we're going to have a longer break for our lunch. So this is really just a quick pit stop. Use the restroom, fill up your water bottles, charge your computers if you need, and grab a coffee if you must, and then come back, please, in 22 minutes time from now. If you could put that on the clock, that would be awesome. And by the time that hits 0, we're all back ready to continue our journey today. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.